I want to talk with you briefly about teaching with phonics and looking at the specific skills and when they occur for children as they're learning, so in terms of their age or grade level. So we're going to talk about that just for a couple of minutes. We're going to look at the task competency, so I'll give you a task, the approximate age of mastery, and then I'll give you an example. So for the pre-K age, a preschool, a child can recognize letters by name. Generally that happens around preschool, and what that looks like would be the child can point to an A and call it an A. The child can also recognize a few letters by sound around preschool, and this looks like a child can point to a P and say that it makes the sound P. When we go into kindergarten, we've got a few more. So the first three are all kindergarten. This last one is going to be kindergarten and then beginning of first grade. The child can recognize rhyming sounds and alliteration in words. And that looks like if an adult asks a child to name a word that sounds like cat, the child could say hat. A child can identify when the first letter sound of a word is different from the first letter sound of another word. So if I show a picture of a sock, a sun, and a boat, and then I ask my student which picture name begins with a different sound, the child should be able to say boat, because sock and sun both begin with the sound S or the letter S. Another skill would be the child can blend simple word parts together to form a word and can distinguish lower and uppercase letters. So for example, I might look at a student and say, and make the sounds k, at, and I might say, what word has just been spelled? And the child will say cat. They will blend those word parts together to say cat. And then finally, near the end of kindergarten and moving into first grade, the child can blend individual letter sounds together to form a word. So I might ask my students, what word is made when these two sounds, or when these three sounds are put together? K, a, t. And the child would be able to blend those sounds together and say cat. When we move into first grade, this is generally the middle to the late part of the year, the child should understand how changing the letters in a word changes both the sound and the meaning. For instance, the child spells cat, and when is asked, she's able to change the C to another letter and make a new word, such as bat. In first grade, mid to late, the child can also sound out one-syllable words with both short and long vowel sounds. So for instance, a child could look at and then sound out the words like map, rain, or bean. And then also a child should be able to segment or separate a word sound by sound. So if I ask a child, what sounds make up the word cat? The child should respond k, a, t. Then in grades 3 through 6, and you'll notice that that's a wide range, that grades 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, the children are beginning to learn to sound out multisyllabic words. So the child should be able to sound out words like sometimes, everything, customer, pilot, and remember. The child should also be able to use prefixes and suffixes and Greek and Latin roots to sound out and define new words. So words like unhappy, repeating, telephone, and autograph. I've linked this chart for you in the module, so you can have that, but I just wanted to go over this with you briefly.